Yeah, man. I'm sitting up here. I think I'm gonna be videotaping a while, and I'm gonna see if I can talk a little bit about a lot of. Excuse me. I'm gonna see if I can talk a little bit about our history, our heritage, a little bit, because there are some things that I need to cover, and depending on how good the video come out, the way I want to start doing my videos. I want to start doing my videos. Hold on, let me go get my coffee. Yeah, coffee right quick. All right. What's happening, people? Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. My head is too down too far. I can't roll like that, man. I had to turn the TV off because I didn't want them advertising to be in my video. So, what can I talk about? The letter of the law. That might be a good one. First and foremost, let me Google it up on my phone, and maybe I can get a good general idea. More. I can give you the letter of the law in my own words, and that's probably the best way to do it. It might be the best way to do it. Let me go and get what. Okay, let me see if this would make sense here. The letter of the law. And then I'm gonna go, I gotta quote Romans chapter 20 and Romans chapter 3 and 20. Let's look at it right here. Let me give you a definition. And the Lord called unto Moses and spake unto him out of the congregation, out of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, if any man of you bring an offering unto the Lord, ye shall bring your offering of the cattle, even of the herd of the flock. If his offering be a burnt sacrifice of the herd, let him offer a male without blemish. He shall offer it of his own voluntary will at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord. And he shall put his hand upon the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to make an atonement for him. Okay, let's go to, let me see if I can make that comparison. Let's look at Romans. Romans might be a good text, a good context for that. The letter of the law. That's what I want to do. I want to explain. Romans chapter 3 and verses 20. It says, Therefore, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in his sight, for by the law is the knowledge of sin. Therefore, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in his sight. So it's clearly telling you, when the Israelites, what I read in Leviticus chapter 1, verses 1 and 2, I believe, it says that during that time, it says, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in his sight. So we see clearly that by the works of the law, they was physically offering and lambs and sacrifices and stuff. Now, let me go to Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 1. And I want to see if this would be another comparison with that to let you know what the letter of the law, remember we're talking about the letter of the law. The letter of the law is, so that we will understand based upon this book here. Let's find out what the letter of the law is. I know I'm not explaining all what I should be explaining, people, but you put it in the comment section and let me know, because I needed to put this out. Let's look at Hebrews chapter 10. Remember, we're still talking about the letter of the law. Because remember, they was offering literal sacrifices and offerings and bullocks and rams and out of the herds, the flocks, and and stuff like that, the flocks of animals and like the sheeps and all that kind of stuff. Let's look right here. It says, For the law having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of things, can never with those sacrifices which they offer year by year continue to make the common thereunto perfect. Did y'all catch? There's this one verse was saying a lot. It says in Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 1, for the law having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of things, can never with those sacrifices which they offer year by year continue. The very image of things cannot take away sin. So that means that it will be talking about the letter of the law, right? The image of things. When you're trying to depend upon the image and the shadow of those things, you see what I'm saying? Because shadows points toward God. Just like if I have a shadow, the real reality is me. It's not the shadow. My shadow, you're not going to look to the shadow. You're going to look to me. It's me you're going to look at. Like when you're talking to me, you're not going to look down at my shadow, right? You're going to look at me, because the very image can't do it. The very image can't touch you, but the real image can touch you. You see what I'm saying? So it says, for the law having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of things. Not the very image of things. It's not the very, it's not the very image of things can never with those sacrifices. That means they would never be. This is Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 1. And then it says, let's look right here in verse 4. It said, for it is not possible that the blood of bulls and goats should take away sin. In verse 6, in burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin, thou hast no pleasure. That's right. So he said, in burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin, thou hast no pleasure. Now, what else would be considered the letter of the law? The letter. We talking about the letter of the law. Now, the laws that I'm reading to you now, it has nothing to do with the commandments, the commandments in it has nothing to do, literally do with the commandments that's mentioned in Romans chapter 7 and 12, where it said, wherefore the law is holy, the commandments holy, just and good. That's a whole different law. The law that deals with the very image of things can never, with those sacrifices which they offer year by year, they can't take away sin, because these are the very image of things. These sacrifices is the letter of the law. You see what I'm saying? So let's look at let's go to Colossians 2 and verse 16. Colossians 2 and 14. I'm going to start at verse 14. Blotting out the handwriting of ordinances. Now, the ordinances and the commandments of God is two different laws. Blotting out the handwriting of ordinance that was against us. The reason why it says that was against us, if you go out right now and you try to offer a lamb and slay a lamb and ask and want to be forgiven for your sin, that's contrary. That would be contrary to, which means it would be not forbidden. It's not forbidden by the law of God. It's to offer a lamb, because it says right here, it says, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us. Contrary means something that is against God. It's two different things. You see what I'm saying? You can't offer a sacrifice just by you remember what I said. The very image can't take of things can never take away sin. The very image of things can't do it. That's why Paul is saying here, blotted out the handwriting of ordinance that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to his cross. When the Most High died, those things he fulfilled. When it talked about him fulfilling the law, it was talking about the handwriting of ordinances. It was talking about the handwriting. It was talking about the ordinance that we had to offer. The Israelites had to offer lamb. That was against. That's contrary. That we don't have to. Which means that's forbidden. It's an unforbidden commandment. It's not forbidden by God. That's what I was trying to say. It is not forbidden. It's not right to offer a lamb. So let's go. Let's read. See if we can read down a little bit further. And having spoiled principalities and powers, he made a show of them openly, trampling over them in it. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or respect of a holy day or new moon or Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the bodies of Christ. Remember I talked about the shadow earlier? He was the reality of all those shadows. So we don't have to look to the shadows. The ceremonial law deals with the shadows. That's why it's contrary to us, because the shadows. Offering a bullock or a ram on an altar is those are shadows. That was a shadow of the reality that was going to come and fulfill that. That's the letter of the law, is what I'm explaining to you. All right, let's go to Leviticus. Leviticus 23 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocation, even these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but in the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, and holy convocation. Ye shall do no several work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwelling. Okay, talking about the Sabbath of creation. All right, now look what it says, verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even in holy convocation, which ye shall proclaim in their season. In the 14th day of the first month at evening is the Lord's Passover. Passover means you don't have to observe that no more. That's like you don't have to observe Passover. Passover is the laws that was against us. Contrary, that means those laws that was nailed to the cross. These are all Passover. Verse 30, let's sum it up by reading verses 38 and verse 39. Let's read verse 37 first. These are the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocation, to offering made by fire unto the Lord, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and a drink offering. Everything upon this day. Remember where I read was it, let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or respect of a holy day or a new moon or Sabbath day, which were a shadow of things to come. This is what this is talking about right here. This is the context. When Paul says, actually Paul is quoted in Leviticus, and he's saying, when he said, let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or respect of a holy day, the issue, well, he was talking about the context of Leviticus chapter 23, where he was speaking directly to the Israelites in regarding to Sabbath days. He said, don't let no man judge you in meat or in drink or respect of a holy day. These are the feasts of the Lord. This is what he's talking about. Beside, let's go to verse 38. Beside the Sabbaths of the Lord, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your free will offering, which ye give unto the Lord. That's right. So let's look at Leviticus 25 and verse 6. 6 years thou shalt sow thy field, in 7 years thou shalt rest. Thou shalt prune thy vineyard and gather the fruit thereof. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the Lord. It shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the I'm sorry, y'all, but in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land, unto a land, a Sabbath for the Lord. Thou shalt neither sow thy field nor prune thy vineyard. Now let's go down. Okay. I want to make sure I'm reading these things in context right, because I want y'all to get this here. Leviticus 23 and 32. I think that's what I'm looking for. Leviticus 23 and 32. I think I'm right. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm reading the direct right text. All right, yeah. Exodus, I'm sorry, Leviticus 23 and 39. Also in the 15th day of the seventh month, when ye shall have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the eighth day shall be a Sabbath. Now that's what Paul was talking about right here in Colossians chapter 2 and verse 16. It said, let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or respect of a holy day or new moon or Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the bodies of Christ. Now, this is the question that is going back to. Now, all what I just read to you, this is the letter of the law. Let's go, before I even make my interpretation, not my interpretation, but let me give you the interpretation of what the Bible says, and then I'm going to come back and then I'm going to explain to you what I'm talking about. Let's go to, I think this is it right here. 1 Corinthians, I want to make sure I'm quoting it right. 2 Corinthians, my bad, I had to check. 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and verses, let's start at verse 1. Do we begin again to commend ourselves, or need we, as some other epistles of commendation to you, or letters of commendation from you? Ye are our epistles, written in our hearts, knowing and reading of all men. For as much as ye are manifestly declared to be the epistle of Christ, ministering by us, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not in tables of stone, but in the fleshly tables of the heart. Whoso has made us able ministers of the New Testament, and not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life. What did I just read to you in Leviticus 23? And I read to you there. And when I read in Leviticus chapter 1, where he told the Israelites to offer offering offerings and all that, he talked about the offering, the meat and the drink offerings and stuff. That was the letter of the law, people. The letter of the law were a shadow of things, of those shadows of the reality that was to come. The reality was Christ and all those sacrifices. So that was the letter of the law. So what I'm gonna have to do is come back on a part 2 and explain to you the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. Did I break it down? So let's look at Romans. Let's go back to Romans chapter 3 and verse 20. And let's read verse 20. Romans chapter 3. Oh man, I made a mistake and ran away from the text. Romans chapter 3 and verse 20. Therefore, by the deeds of the law. Now remember, everything that I read to you in Leviticus 1, where it talked about offering the offerings made by fire unto God, and Leviticus 23, 32, and 39, where it talked about on the 8th day, on the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. Therefore, it was, guess what? The point I'm making is the issue wasn't over the Sabbath of creation. The Sabbath of creation had nothing to do with no ceremony or no feast, no sacrificial laws or any of that, because the Sabbath in the Garden of Eden was the seventh day, was the seventh day before any shadows. Because look right here, think about it. Let's go to Genesis 1. I'm sorry, Genesis. Yeah, let's look at Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It said in the beginning, he created the heavens and the earth. Now let's read verses. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day, it didn't say on a feast day. It didn't say on a seventh day. It didn't say on a, which is a letter A. It didn't say that. It says on the seventh day, God ended his work which he has made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he has made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it. because in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. This was way before. There wasn't no shadows involved at this time. So the shadows and all of these things are the ceremonial days that Paul was speaking of, where he's talking about blotting out the handwriting ordinances. Don't let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or respect of a holy day or new moon or Sabbath days. He wasn't speaking in terms in the context of the 7-day Sabbath. 7-day Sabbath was not an issue in those contexts. The issue was it was over the ceremonial feast days. That was the whole issue was about. It was all the issue was over the ceremonial Sabbath days that he was speaking of in that context. Had nothing to do with the Sabbath of creation. Was not an issue involved, because everybody understood and knew that when the 7-day Sabbath rolled around, everybody wasn't no argument or during the days of the apostles about the 7-day Sabbath. There wasn't no argument. Nobody was arguing over which day to be kept holy when it came down to the 7-day Sabbath, because Paul and the apostles, they kept the Sabbath. The Bible says the apostle Paul, and they reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks. The Jews, now remember, the Jews and the Greeks were the Greeks were the Israelites who was lost. The southern kingdom and the northern kingdom of Judah was the lost tribes of Israel. And so understand that it wasn't no non-Gentiles that Paul was talking about. It was lost Gentiles. It was lost Israelites who had a Gentile mindset because they joined themselves to the Greeks, and that's why they became that's how they became Gentiles, by joining themselves to the Greek customs. So don't get that confused. So everybody was keeping the Sabbath in Acts chapter 18 and verse 4. Wasn't no argument over because the 7-day Sabbath was not a feast day. They was keeping the feast days, but Paul, when the Sabbath rolled around, everybody kept the Sabbath day. Let me show you. Acts 17, Acts 18, and verse 4. Look what the Bible says here. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath. The synagogue was a place of a church. And he reasoned, that means they reasoned in the scriptures. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks, the lost northern kingdoms of Israel. He was talking about the Jews who have joined themselves unto the Greek custom. This is the reason why they was called Greeks. The Israelites were called Greeks. So a lot of people get this confused when they try to say that, God want to say the open up a door and a way for the none. The word Gentile or Greek simply means a non-Israelite. But what people don't understand, these were Israelites who have joined themselves unto the Greek customs. You see what I'm saying? So I don't want to get you all off track. So I explained the difference between the letter of the law and the spirit law. You see what I'm saying? The letter of the law were those ceremonials and sacrificial laws and stuff of that nature. That's what the letter of the law was. So what I'm gonna do is that maybe I can probably go to something else, and maybe I can come back a little bit later on, and then talk about the spirit law, the law that deals with the spirit. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't want to confuse people, but the letter that's what the letter of the law was. The letter of the law was those laws that deal with animal sacrifices and stuff. Where I was reading to you in look, let me read another one to you, and Romans chapter 12 and verse 1 and 2. Romans chapter 12 and verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. So he said, present your body as a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to him. He said a living sacrifice, not no dead sacrifice. That's why he said, purge thyself from dead works to serve the living God. So that means we don't have to go and we don't have to offer lambs and sacrifices and all that stuff no more. He said, present your body as a living sacrifice. So let's look at let's look Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 4. But it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sin. Wherefore, when he cometh unto the world, he says, sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not, but a body hast thou prepared me. And burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin thou hast no pleasure. So that's the letter of the law. Let's go to Matthew chapter 9 and verses, let's see here. I knew I had marked it down. Matthew chapter 9. I think it's Matthew 9 and 13. Okay, yeah, they said never second guess yourself. Matthew 9 and verse 13. But go ye and learn what that meaneth. I would have mercy and not sacrifice. See that? But go ye and learn what that meaneth. I would have mercy and not sacrifice. That's why Paul was actually quoting Matthew too. Matthew 9 and 13, where he said, Jesus actually spoke this himself. But go ye and learn what that meaneth. I would have mercy and not sacrifice. You see what I'm saying? So that was the letter to me. That's my definition of the letter of the law. I mean, I ain't give my own definition, but I read it out the Bible. So that's why he say the letter killeth, but the spirit gives life. What is the spirit? What is the spirit? Keep that in mind. What is the spirit? Romans chapter 7 and verse 12. Therefore, the law is spirit, is holy. The commandment is holy, just, and good. Now, this is talking about a different law. But we know that the law, Romans 7 and 14, for we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, soul under sin. So the sacrificial laws is not no spiritual law. Those were the civil laws. The civil laws were the laws to govern Israel. It was a govern. But the spiritual law is a law that's written upon our hearts. Because remember, the very image of things, he's talking about the law of sacrifices. That's why he says in Matthew chapter 9 and verse 13, I will have mercy upon Israel, but not sacrifice. I will have mercy, not sacrifice. Hold on. Let me look out here right quick and let me see what's going on. Yeah. I had to go outside a minute. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna watch the replay back, and I'm going to see if this if this video will, does it make any? I mean, you know what I mean. Comment it below if you know. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna check my own live out, and I'm gonna see, you know, because I wanted to give it to an understanding. So hopefully people understood what the letter of the law was. Peace and love to my people of color. I'm out.